Hello, this is my look at the LEGO Monkie Kid City of Lanterns. The set comes with 7 minifigures, 9 if you count these 2 little robots that are minifig size. I don't think they should count, but it's entirely up to you. And I want you to see at first just what this looks like from all the different angles. It is intended to be playable from all angles, but it is not equally camera friendly from all angles. It's not bad around the side, but once you get to the back, it is open to allow you to get into each of the small modular, we'll get into that, builds or buildings. It has a ton of references, and I'm not going to call out every single reference along the way because if you see a reference and you know it, then you know it. But if you don't, it's not going to matter to you. First thing I'm going to talk about to get it out of the way is one of the most obvious, which is the Pigsy Train or Pigsy sponsored train that goes around here. It's based on the roller coaster system, and each one of these cars is a roller coaster car base. Each of these will hold one single figure, and there's no power system and no easy way to add power to this whatsoever. But it is very, very charming, and it does the trick of adding the charm of having a train going around without the huge cost of a full-sized train system. You can kind of get it to roll around there if you want. If you pick up the whole thing and start shifting the base back and forth, you can get it to go continually. But again, each of these cars just holds a single figure in there, just enough space to just drop them down in there. I do really like the addition of these slope parts in between, or the slope parts to the middle car, which fills in the gaps in between just a little bit really, really well. So as it goes around a corner, you don't see the major gap that's between them. It's just perfectly placed and perfectly sized. Each of these has essentially the same interior, so there's nothing else to see with that. But they do the trick, they do their job, they work well, and the end cars have suggestions of control consoles that are done with stickers in there. Right, so to look at details, I'm going to start you from the bottom with a permanent installation over here on the right. It's a singing bar, singing competition little spot. You open the door and there's just a single little arcade style machine in there where you get to sing to a Chinese soap opera is what it's looking like in there. You got the different colors of transparent, suggestions of lights. You can just imagine that these would be cycling through in reality. Pretty nice sign up above, and also the sign set up over there with the star and a suggestion of a microphone. It's a tiny little booth, and you're going to see that a lot of the stuff throughout this set is very tiny to allow there to be more different things here. I'm not going to take you up to the next level just yet. Got the little octane fuel can there. Got some containers here. This one has a sticker on the top of it. Those stairs are built as small as possible. They don't have any studs on top, so it's difficult for a figure to stay, but the scaling is very nice, and it makes for a good suggestion of the ability to get from one level to the next, without taking up a ton of space. A little bit of foliage around the base, and this is like an information kiosk. So they've got the map of the place in there and some information about specific places. You would imagine there would be ads going around, with the heads-up displays there. They've also got the times for when the train arrives at the different stops, because there are 2 stops, and one of them is accessible through this. This is one of the platforms. Again, shows you the map of the train system. And this is all super inspired, especially with this shape right here, by the old classic monorail setup, especially the airport monorail. Got a little bit of the color in here as well. So the train would just come around and stops there, and you have to use your imagination at this point because there's no actual door in there. So you would need to remove or add in the figure that's getting on or off, separately from this. Definitely not playable in the most direct way here. You also got a couple more old action figure theme references with the 2 stickers up here. You'll find more of that. But like I said, I'm going to start down at the lower level and keep going around. Got one of Pigsy's little to-go bits right there, little to-go boxes, a little bit of dust right there, sorry about that, coming around the back, a little bit of stuff related to maintenance, and all this lower stuff down here is built first. It was the initial part of the whole build process, was getting the foundation done, and it really didn't look nice, didn't look particularly good, and it remains not particularly playable afterwards until you get to the back over on the other side. So this is where the the places where you go in and do some singing. And then this represents an electric scooter that you can rent for local personal transportation. It just folds up like that, and a minifig can hold on to the handlebars. When you're done, you bring it back. The sign back there is showing you the charging system, and I'm assuming that that money would be exchanged through that as well. And behind here is another ad, which also has another Bionicle reference on it, a little bit of classic space, and also references some stuff that you can find around this so-called city. Now, I'm not going to dwell on the fact that this is not literally a city. You know, a lot of people get caught up in the semantics, like, well, it says it's a city and it's not, because a city would be bigger than this. Obviously, it's not a whole city. Ninjago City, the set, was significantly bigger than this, and it's not an entire city. It's just a name, and this is giving you a nice slice of a whole bunch of different things that you would find potentially in a city. So that said, not getting back to that topic ever again, because it's kind of ridiculous in my opinion. Some people really get stuck on that. I want to show you the details of the individual establishments here, and rather than trying to look below the tracks here and above, I'm just gonna grab one of these and pull it out and show it to you individually. That's right, that's how this is intended to be used. I mentioned modularity earlier. Well, this is how it works. So over on this side, there's another train platform, even less interesting than the other, but a little bit easier to get to, I suppose, to get somebody on and off the car. You can go up to the next level over here. So this is really intended to service the upper level, whereas the other one service the lower level. Well, all this comes up as well. This comes up, all of these things come off as individual establishments that can then be potentially moved around. So if I wanted to have this down here, well, guess what? It does fit. So I can rearrange. If I wanted to have this up over here instead, I can do that. You know, I can take this now and put it over here. The only thing that's going to be a little bit funky is if you personally decide to take this with the stairs and maybe put it here, because then how are you going to get to the stairs in the first place? Or if I turn this around weird, yeah, it's just not going to work. So this particular module here kind of wants to be over here, but you can of course customize things. But I do appreciate that. Again, when you first build this, it's just the little stuff. There's a little tail sticking off the side. It's easy to pull off, but just generally, there is a lot that you can do to customize the arrangement of all of this, and I think that's good. Better to have the customizability than to not. You can also use these modules independently, and I'll show you that later. All right, so this is a restaurant, and the overall design of this thing is just perfect to me. It perfectly captures what I've seen 100 times in different old Golden Harvest movies growing up. You know, watching the Saturday kung fu movies from the 70s. It's just that's what you see. People go to the restaurant and then they fight in there, and this just captures all of that. The signage is done really nicely here. The built up face for the monkey is good. Most of the decorations here are accomplished with stickers. So everything that you see there for signage and a little bit of ornate detail up above. So these are stickers here. The eyes are prints. We've seen that before. Got the chopsticks there. This is nicely done. This was enjoyable to put together. These side bits with the clear backed stickers are rather large, and those were not so enjoyable because, well, there's a lot that can go wrong, right? A single piece of dust gets under there and it just kind of ruins your day. Fortunately, I had pretty decent luck there. But, you know, those are nice looking windows. And then upstairs, looking at the inside, you got 2 tables there with the small grills in the middle, you know, to keep things warm or to cook your own food. Lots of sauces, which totally makes sense. This just seems right to me and can accommodate 3 minifigures eating. Appreciate that they have spots to hold on to, all the chopsticks as well. And then down below, you can also purchase some things directly. A little bit of a market is built into this. A little print there for the moon cake, of course, but on the front, those are just stickers. This is done well for how little space it takes up. You know, it has some kind of inside references, and this is where you can also place your food order for whole combos. I got the fire extinguisher on the wall just in case, and a little bit of serving there. Would have been nice to have a little bit of detail on the back here as well. Now notice at the base here, that is set up to hook up to something, as is the other side. Each of these modules has that in there, so you can use just a couple of Technic pins and start connecting things directly one to the next. Speaking of the next, this is the Bubble Tea Shop. Well, this is a really nice looking shop, even though it's very small. I like it a lot. I can't say all that much about it because I just like it as it is. Everything about it, including the sign up here. It did use a bunch of stickers for that sign, but it seems appropriate. I like the colors that were chosen here. They're bright and they're a little bit different, definitely stand out. And around the back, there's just enough room for a figure or maybe two to just barely get in. They've got a couple of drinks that can be served. There's also a suggestion of an attic space up here with another container just to add in a little extra texture. And this is also, again, the stairway, which has some tiled off areas, some not, which makes it easier for a minifigure to be posed at any of those levels. Here's another Panda Shop. I really like the color scheme for this brand that they came up with, and there's another build for a panda face that looks pretty good. Sticker is used here, but the striping along the side is done with just a regular, set of plates. The face there, the bottom part of the face, is also done with a sticker. Got just a little bit of plant across the top. And then inside this, okay, the sticker for open does not have an opposite version for closed on the other side, but you can look in here and see some of the specific items that you can get. Not a whole lot. Also, this does not have a checkout counter per se. I think that this on the left is intended to be maybe self-checkout, but it's not the most convincing thing, if you ask me, especially with no detail on that wall over there either. Minifig scaled Lego stores, I feel like we can never get too many of, just personal opinion, but I especially like getting more Lego branded stickers and or prints. In this case, they're, I think, all stickers, including this one up here. And then these are clear backed, thankfully, which is a bit of fan service, I would say, because if you end up tracking down additional sticker sheets through Bricklink or something, you can put those stickers against different colors and create more of these large scaled bricks for yourself. Got a reference to the old classic Lego store dragon here, which is a decent build. It's very kinetic in how it's angled around. You really twist it around. But what I don't like here is that each of these plates is not, or they're tiles, but the dragon plating parts are decorated with stickers. So there are a bunch of these going all the way around, and it was just annoying to put that many of the exact same design on via stickers. But you can obviously change up the posing of this quite a bit, and the tail comes out down here. The idea is it goes through the building, comes out down here. And if you want to use this module, like I mentioned earlier, in a different location where you need to have a building right up against this, just pull that out and you have the two Technic pin hole spots down there to connect to, as you do on this side. Now inside, of course, there's a pick-a-brick wall on one side. That just goes without saying. It's very simple, easy to do that. Everybody does that. But the other side is special. See, every time they do a buildable Lego store, they give you some stickers to represent boxes, packages of sets that are either current or from the recent past, but this time they went way back. So there's the Spring Lantern Festival over there on the right. Monkie Kid Warrior Mech has been built, suggested with a sticker, but you can imagine that the actual thing would be in there. But then you've got a reference to old adventurers over there. Got the original Yellow Castle. You got an old classic space set, Paradisa set. Back there in the corner is Black Seas Barracuda, I believe, although the sails are pure red, but I think that's what that's intended to represent. Those are golden stickers. Even if you're not going to buy this set, I strongly recommend that you go to Bricklink, and this is gonna bite me because I'm gonna have trouble getting these, and it's gonna bump up the price. But I want the love to be spread. Go to Bricklink, find the sticker sheets. There are multiple of them, and buy them for yourself and profit with fun and happiness and love for Lego in the future that then your minifigures can also profit from, because they can enjoy having these sets in their lives. Like, just imagine minifigures going into a Lego store and having these sets available to them at regular retail prices today. So cool. The final mini modular building here is the Lotus Hotel, and this one once again looks pretty good and pretty accurate to me from the outside. All right, I feel like I recognize some of the architecture from buildings around San Francisco, Chinatown. It feels right to me once again. And the detailing up top is very nice. They did bring in one of the fire rings to represent just a detail, but you know, you could use it as part of the story if you want. The lotus blossom up there is pretty nice, and the frogs around the sides make for decent kind of gargoyle style details. But the inside though, I mean, that's a bed and a floor lamp, and there's a sticker on the wall over here, sticker on the wall over here. Now that's a very nice sticker right there. Like it, but okay, that's an entire room. They didn't have but so much space. What I like less is this down here, the lobby. Got spot for luggage. They got spot for recharging one of those scooters, or the scooter, the electric scooter. And then up on the wall is another scroll or a painting, and that's it. There's not even a desk or anything. The door opens, sure, but I mean, it's rather lacking. This is one of those cases where you really have to use your imagination. And if this was a classic old set, then adult fans would be like, oh, look at this. It lets you use your imagination. But in modern days, like, oh, Lego's gotten so lazy. Look, they don't put any detail into things. So your mileage may vary on that, but I personally think that it's lacking. Interestingly, this outdoor dining spot is set up as a repositionable module as well, but obviously it's not a building. That's a good sign though, and that's a good setup for little, what you might call miniature lobsters or crayfish. And they also have something for, I don't know if that's for serving or cracking them, but this is just a perfect little balcony patio kind of space. You can have 4 figures just hanging out. Got the Snap reference over here, but I'm just all about the built-up sign. It's really good. Obviously, it can be posed a little bit, but I think it's pretty perfect. And you can see over here, you can take off this gray piece. It gives you access to a couple of pins that can then be attached somewhere else, or you can take the whole thing out. You can attach pins over here, so it's intended to work with all the other stuff. Speaking of which, here's an easy example of how all the modules can be placed together outside of the City of Lanterns without using any of its connecting infrastructure or anything, just by themselves. Now, if there's anybody out there from Lego who's watching this, or maybe who's talking to somebody who watched this, I need the word to get to Lego. Lego, listen to me carefully. Make this a thing. Commit to this as a system for at least 5 years to come. It's very easy to do. It's a depth of 8, which you do all the time, and then just have those pins on the sides. Commit to this as a system of building. You can already add in some of the other small side builds from the Monkie Kid line, but I need them to commit to this across every theme possible, every minifig scaled theme possible. With all those modules removed from City of Lanterns, this is what you're left with. So this center core section is what you build first. This is the start of the set. It's right down here. And then you add on the side wings of sorts. And down there at the base, at each side, what do you get? More of those standardized connections, so you can add buildings on right here. If I just grab this, that can just be attached right there. Continue to go to the left or the right. It can work with a single pin. It can work with Ninjago City stuff. It can work with modular building stuff, just not great because the shape of this is not intended to go with those. You've got it's shaped all wrong. So it technically can connect, but would require, I think, reasonably a lot of customization to make it work well. Let me show you just a few extra things. Down in the middle, there's a hidden frog and also a hidden collection of Technic pins for connecting things together. Thank you, Lego, for including all those parts, so we don't need to add our own. There's also a security camera up here, another one on the other side, and some more signage up here, which looks pretty decent, I'd say. Does rely on stickers once again, but got the telephone pole up there made with not too many pieces. And then finally, around the back, this is an extra straight piece. So you can, the intent is that you would be able to get 2 of this set, the designer has said, you get 2 of this set and take off your end corners, your end turns, and connect these together and have a longer loop, have a longer train line that goes through them with a little bit of customization. I haven't seen exactly how they do that, but I really appreciate the inclusion of the extra track because this is full length, and then this down here is half length. So at the very least, you take the half, add the half, and you got the straight on the other side. It's all going to allow you to do many more things. A few extra pieces add so much more value to this, especially for folks who are going to be getting multiples or wanting to do some expansion. And then with the modules added back in, here's one last look at everything together now that you have the full context of what it looks like with all that removed, and you've also seen the individual buildings by themselves. That is the entirety of the build for City of Lanterns. I do want to point out just one final detail though, over here on this side with the stairway that goes up from this train platform. When you get to the top, you get to that upper level, it's the roof of the restaurant module that forms the sidewalk up here. So that is pretty important, and you don't get that as just one continuous flat space for minifigures. If you put other modules in this space, you would have to do some customization to continue to have minifig access along this level. Monkie Kid here comes with some large accessories, so I'll just show him by himself for now. He's got a map to either a fire ring or the fire rings. Haven't seen this part of the story yet myself. He's also got a compass on there, and I don't think I've seen that face for him previously. Nice to get the teal colored parts. There's the rest of the print on the back of the torso and also his alternate face. I also want you to see just more clearly the entirety of this face. Pigsy also gets some pretty large accessories, so we'll look at him by himself. He's a one-man or one-pig roving restaurant. He's got everything that he needs back here, including his sauces and pans. And there's what the back of that torso looks like. Now we can look at multiple at a time. Left to right, it's Mei, Mr. Tang, or Tang, and on the right is a character named Huang. In one previous video, I made the mistake of saying that this is probably rice in the bowl there, and there were just dozens of comments that people tried to post, ignoring the entire video, but being sure to say, actually, JANG, that's a dumpling? Well, it's not a dumpling. That's just factually incorrect. I was wrong, but they were all wrong as well. It's intended to represent rice noodles because Mr. Tang is always eating noodles. It is his thing, and they get swirled up stylistically in the show and in the animations and the stills as well. He's always eating noodles. That's what it is. It's not a dumpling. All these figures I think are pretty good. The one on the right has nothing new going on with it or special, but again, I do think that they all look quite nice. Here on the left is named character Han, and on the right is an unnamed train conductor. Han obviously just came from the Lego store, which is why she's very, very happy. The print for that torso, unfortunately, is just a little bit lacking in opacity, in my opinion, with the orange. Could have been a little bit brighter, but it's a good face. Good design for the torso, I guess. And then these are two city bots with identical printed heads for them, reference to an old Lego theme. The only thing different between them is just the single stud on the top. Obviously, these have a little bit of articulation. They can bend forward, and the arms can go up and down, head can turn and stuff. This small side build can be used as a minifig accessory. It's a hot air balloon, can be used for transport around, and it does have little landing gear so you can have it stand on the ground appropriately. It's difficult to get a figure in there though to stay. The best thing, if you really want somebody to be attached to this, is to attach a hand to the pitchfork back here. The leftover pieces are many. Wow, so many. All really small as usual, but there's some good stuff in there. This is what the sticker sheet looks like. So yep, quite a few stickers in this set. Oh yeah, that's right. There's these also. Quite a few stickers in this set. I paid $150 US, 150 for this. And I went back and looked for some references and good comparisons for that price and other things that are minifig scaled and of substance and structure, And the best correlation that I could find was with the modular buildings. $150 US is what the modular buildings were costing over a decade ago. Not even adjusted for inflation. So adjusted for inflation, they were more. There's definitely way more stuff here than one of those early modular buildings that had very, very little interior detail at all. There's a good amount of substance here. There are a lot of things. The coaster track has more value than a typical piece in general. There's more that you can do with this, just generally speaking. I feel like this is actually a decent value, especially by today's standards, and especially by Monkie Kid standards. Usually, okay, today, Lego is expensive. I accept that to some degree. Monkie Kid especially is expensive. I generally accept that as well, because it's not primarily made for this market over here, and it's primarily made for a target market that has a lot of disposable income. But this just doesn't seem like it has either of those margin increases artificially added onto it, at least to me. And when you look at the price to part ratio, that helps to bring things into perspective as well, especially when you consider that there are a fair number of fairly large pieces here. This seems like a really good deal. I am surprised. I initially looked at this and thought, another Ninjago City type of thing. And then I looked more closely in the pictures before I got it and said, oh, it's actually not as big as I thought it was going to be. And then I built it. No, it's bigger than I thought, at least the second time around. And then when you consider all the stuff you can do with it and just the pure joy that I got out of experiencing this whole thing. Now, this module in particular is disappointing. Which one? Oh, yeah, this one, it's interior also. But overall, this is a full-on playset. It comes with enough figures, and I really feel like this could be the inspiration for a lot of good things that Lego could do. I mean, the fact that you have an entire train system, elevated rail system that's fully enclosed, or has a full loop and multiple stations on it. They somehow pulled that off. Yeah, it's tiny, but it's charming, and it works. You can put people in there. We should have a little bit better access over here, but all the little details, the number of things that this practically asks you to try outside of what's shown in the instructions for the main build. It's all really good. I feel like it's better than the sum of its parts, much better than the sum of its parts. And I hope that Lego itself recognizes that and recognizes the work of the designers here and just how much good that they've managed to pack into this. There's a lot more that can be extended out in the future, not just in the Monkie Kid line. Take note, all of Lego, all of you who work on and do planning for minifig scaled stuff, especially locations and structures. This is good stuff. This is really good stuff. Very happy with it. Let me know what you think, though. Let me know if you think I'm completely out of my mind in my feelings that this is actually a good value for that price and for its size and everything. And I'll talk to you again soon. Looking forward to your comments down below. Bye for now.